Okay, so let's solve some problems from this chapter. So as always, you guys know that I'm going to ask you to do number 1. Let me fix this. So as always, you guys know I'll ask you to do 1, and in addition, I'll ask you guys what's happening. I'll ask you guys to also do 4, 5, and 6. And it might help to think of 4, 5, 6 as one extended problem because they deal with similar problems but in different context. So try to solve them together and try to see how the analysis or the application are different under slightly different situations. So these are what I would expect you guys to do. I'm going to do a few problems. Let's start with number 2. So let's read the question here. Consider an open economy with flexible exchange rate. Okay. Output is at the natural rate, but there is a trade deficit. Okay, so let's write this down. Output is at the natural rate, yn. And we have a trade deficit, which means that nx is less than 0. Okay. The goal of the policy is to reduce trade deficit. So what we want is nx to go up. This is what we want. And leave the level of output at its natural level. So we want to increase nx, but we also want to maintain this. Okay, so we do not want to increase or decrease output. All right, so how might we solve this? So as always, I'm going to ask you guys to just pause the video right now and try to figure out, if you can, on your own, how a government might solve these problems. Go from this to this. Notice the important thing is that all we want is the trade deficit scenario to improve. We do not want nx to become 0 or nx to become more than 1. We might be able to, but all we're trying to do is, suppose nx for a year is minus 50, and we want to improve this. Okay, so next year, if this is t plus 1, we want this to be, let's say it becomes minus 20. This is an improvement, right? So this is what we're looking for, an improvement in the trade situation and maintaining the same level of output. Okay, so pause the video, see if you can solve it yourself, and then come back to look at my explanation. So what I would recommend in this situation is to undertake an expansionary. To take fix this. An expansionary monetary policy. So if, of course, you guys know what this means, expansionary monetary policy means that we're going to lower the interest rate, the policy rate at the nominal level. If we do this, so if nominal interest rate were to go down, you know from this chapter that that would mean that the nominal exchange rate, E, is also going to go down. If E goes down, what are the things that will happen? If our currency becomes weaker, that means that we are going to be exporting more and we are going to be importing less, right? So immediately, because E has gone down, we are going to see a situation where nx is improving. Excuse me, I have a pretty bad cough. So this solves the first problem, is that we have improved the net export situation. But the problem, of course, is that when this happens, this is going to mean that output is also going up, right? We do not want this. That was the second requirement, is that output will remain the same. So the first thing we do, an expansionary monetary policy, and along with that, what we are also going to do is a contractionary fiscal policy. And when we do a contractionary fiscal policy, which may come through a fall in G, a rise in T, or both. Once we do this, of course, you guys know that Y will fall. So even though Y is increasing here, we are going to have Y falling here. And if we measure this policy properly, then the rise here and the fall here will balance out. And we are left with a situation where output is equal to the natural rate. Okay, so that's number two. What you guys should do is draw the diagrams. So effectively what we have done is we have implemented an expansionary monetary policy, which lowers interest rate, increases the exchange rate. This is effectively the uncovered interest rate parity relationship that we have. And as a result, we see that the net export situation has improved. Draw the diagram for this. Or rather, let's say I ask a question. You have this same scenario, explained graphically instead of writing it down. So try to do that. And once again, we're implementing a contractionary fiscal policy. Show this diagrammatically. Draw diagram. Okay. So that's an extra work for you guys. So that's number two. Now let's try and solve number three. And what does number three say? In this chapter, we showed that reduction in interest rate in an economy operating under flexible exchange rate leads to an increase in output and a depreciation of domestic currency. That's effectively what we just did in question number two, is that whenever there is an expansionary monetary policy, Y will go up and E will fall. Okay, oh, sorry. So let's see what the rest of number three wants us to do. 3 part A. How does reduction in interest rate in an economy with flexible exchange rate affect consumption and investment? Okay, so we have an open economy. We have a scenario where interest rate is falling. Our question is what will happen to consumption and investment? Okay, I mean, this is fairly simple. I'm sure you guys can all figure out. When Y falls, we know that, when I falls, we know that Y is going to go up, right? Y going up means what? Income is going up. If income goes up, consumption will go up. That's the first part. So that's C done. What happens to I? Two things are happening. One, Y is going up. Second, I is going down. Both of this means that investment will go up. So that's the effect. If we undertake an expansionary monetary policy, C will go up, I will go up, and of course the opposite is true, as you guys know already. If I were to go up, the opposite will happen. I think that's part A, right? Yeah, that's fairly straightforward. Part B. What happens to net export? Net export. What happens to net export? Yeah, now this is interesting and a slightly trickier one. So if there is a fall in interest rate, we've already seen this in question 2, nominal exchange rate is going to fall. When nominal exchange rate falls, what we see is that export goes up, import goes down, right? So there is a bit of vagueness here. Rise, do I have this right? Sorry. Yeah, that's correct. So as a result, this is going to lead to a rise in Y, right? Let me just write this down. When interest rate goes up, there is the exchange rate effect, which increases output. That's fine. But now there is also a second thing that we have to take a look at. Remember, what does M depend on? M depends on exchange rate, which we have already taken into account, but it also depends on output. So here's the transition, okay? First, I falls. As a result, E falls. As a result, NX goes up. That's this. As a result, Y goes up. Whenever NX goes up, Y will go up. But when Y goes up, M goes up, right? So because of this, M will go up. So here's the thing, NX have gone up, but then in the second round, M was going to go up. As a result, NX will go down. Now, what we do not know is which of this effect will be larger. Which of this is larger? At one stage, NX is going up, at the next stage, it's going down. And whichever effect dominates will be the resulting outcome on the economy. Excuse me. So that's why number 2 is interesting, is that we don't exactly know what's going to happen to net export. Net export may go up, it may go down, depending whether the exchange rate effect is stronger or the import effect is stronger. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind for analysis. And I think that's all that I'm going to do. 2 and 3, that's enough. As I've said, you guys should try to do number 4, 5, and 6. So as you see, number 4 has to do with the uncovered interest parity condition. Number 5 also has to do with uncovered interest parity condition. And let's take a look at number 6. Okay, 6 is a little difficult, so it's not mandatory that you try and do 6, okay? Do 4 and 5. Try to do 6. If you can't, don't worry about it too much, okay? But these are the 3 that you should be solving, okay? So good luck with that. And that's all the videos for this chapter.